Welcome to The Explainer, everyone. I am absolutely thrilled to have you here today. We are going to take a true classic, Chef Jack's Thai pork belly and egg stew, also known as Kai Palo, and transform it into an approachable, step-by-step culinary masterpiece. If you're a focused learner who wants to understand the exact mechanics behind building really deep, complex flavors without all the fuss, well, you are in the perfect place. We're going to decode this incredibly delicious recipe from start to finish. We'll even start right at the market, talking about how to select the perfect cuts of meat and eggs, so that even if you're an absolute beginner, you can execute this flawlessly in your own kitchen. Let's get into it.
Here's the roadmap for our culinary journey today. We'll start with an intro to perfect Kai Palo, then move on to prepping the tofu and eggs, building the flavor base, working with spices in the broth, and finally, the perfect 1-hour simmer.
Section 1. Intro to perfect Kai Palo. So our ultimate goal today isn't just to throw together a quick dinner, it's to construct a truly rich, restaurant-quality stew right in your own home. Now, if you're new to it, Kai Palo is this beloved, classic Thai stew that features incredibly tender pork belly and these beautifully colored boiled eggs. But what absolutely defines it is the meticulous balance of its sweet and salty flavor profile, all swimming in this deeply rich, dark, aromatic broth. Chef Jack actually designed this specific recipe to be highly versatile. It's perfect to eat with your family on a weeknight, it's high enough quality to sell, and it's wonderful to share with friends. And building that complex flavor from relatively simple ingredients is exactly what we're going to master today.
Moving on to Section 2, prepping tofu and eggs.
You know, great cooking always starts with your mise en place, basically getting your ingredients set up perfectly before the heat even turns on. We're starting with 2 blocks of firm tofu cut into bite-sized pieces. Now, we don't just toss them into the stew raw, no way. We actually pan-fry them in oil first over medium-high heat. You want to leave them completely undisturbed in the pan to develop a deeply golden, crispy exterior. This is super important because it acts like a protective barrier, ensuring the tofu holds its shape during the long stewing process, while the inside remains delightfully soft and spongy, literally primed to stoke up all that incredible broth later on.
Okay, next up are eggs. A quick pro tip right off the bat. Use eggs that have been sitting in your fridge for a few days rather than farm-fresh ones. Slightly older eggs peel so much easier after boiling, which keeps them looking absolutely pristine. Take 10 of those perfectly peeled hard-boiled eggs and pop them into a mixing bowl. Pour exactly 3 tablespoons of dark sweet soy sauce right over them. Toss them thoroughly so that dark soy coats every single inch, and then just let them sit. This brilliant little micro-step marinates the eggs, giving them a gorgeous, appetizing dark mahogany color before they even hit the cooking pot.
Section 3. Building the flavor base. Okay, let's dive into this.
Because this is where the magic really happens. We are going to build the foundational flavor block that is an absolute cornerstone of Thai cooking. It starts with the Gler, or the 3-friend paste. In a mortar, you're going to combine half a tablespoon of white pepper, 1 tablespoon of Thai garlic, and 4 coriander roots. Pound this mixture vigorously until it forms a really fine paste. Then heat up 2 tablespoons of vegetable oil in a pot on low heat, and stir-fry this aromatic paste. You just do this until your kitchen smells absolutely incredible and the raw garlic bite mellows out.
Once that 3-friend paste is beautifully fragrant, in goes 1 kilogram of cut pork belly. Now, when you're picking your pork belly at the market, look specifically for a cut that has a perfectly even 50-50 ratio of fat to meat. And this is crucial. Make sure the skin is still attached. That skin is going to break down and provide an incredible gelatinous richness to the final stew. Now watch for this visual cue. You're going to stir-fry the pork and the paste together, but only until the outside of the pork belly tightens up and becomes slightly firm. We're not trying to brown it heavily here. We literally just want to seal the exterior and lock in its shape.
Right when that pork tightens, we build our sweet and salty balance. Add 10 tablespoons of palm sugar, 2 tablespoons of white sugar, 3 teaspoons of salt, and 1 tablespoon of that leftover dark soy sauce from your egg marinade bowl. The heavy reliance on palm sugar here is the absolute secret to a perfectly rounded, mellow sweetness. It totally prevents that sharp, cloying sugar spike you get from just using regular white sugar. Keep mixing this constantly over the heat until all the sugars completely dissolve. It's going to create this rich, deeply caramelized base that thoroughly coats all the pork belly.
Section 4. Spices and the broth.
So with our rich, caramelized pork base ready, we need to transform it into a luscious, deep stew. And that brings us to a critical question, one that really separates amateur, flat-tasting stews from professional, deeply aromatic ones. How do we extract the absolute deepest, most complex flavor from our whole spices?
Now, what's really interesting about this is Chef Jack's secret pro tip.
Before you add your 2 cinnamon sticks and 4-star anise to the pot, you must roast them in a dry, hot pan first. Do not use any oil. Just let the dry, direct heat awaken those volatile essential oils trapped inside the spices. Keep them moving in the pan until they become highly fragrant and take on a slightly smoky character. This one simple technique unlocks their absolute deepest, most complex aroma. Only after they are properly dry roasted do you add them to the pot, followed immediately by pouring in 2.5 liters of clean water.
Once the water is in, turn your heat straight up to the highest setting. As the pot comes to a vigorous, rolling boil, you're going to start seeing impurities, fats, and foam rising to the top of the liquid. Take a spoon or a skimmer and very carefully skim off all of this foam. I can't stress this enough. This mechanical process of clarifying the broth is non-negotiable. Taking just a few extra minutes here guarantees a clean, beautiful, and highly professional-looking final presentation rather than a cloudy, murky stew.
Section 5. The perfect 1-hour simmer.
We've built the flavors, we've clarified the broth, and now our carefully prepared elements finally unite. Turn your heat down to low. It's time to gently introduce those beautifully dark marinated eggs. Pour in any remaining soy sauce from the resting bowl, and add your golden pan-fried tofu blocks. Place the lid on their pot, but deliberately leave it slightly ajar. This is a super crucial step for beginners. Leaving the lid cracked allows a small amount of steam to gently escape. This slowly reduces and thickens the broth, without causing the pot to aggressively boil over.
And now we wait. Exactly 1 hour. That number might seem massive, but patience is literally an active ingredient here. 1 full hour of very gentle simmering is exactly the amount of time required for the tough connective tissues in the pork belly to completely break down. They'll become perfectly melt-in-your-mouth tender, all while that crispy tofu and those marinated eggs slowly soak up every single ounce of that incredible, complex liquid.
After that hour, your kitchen is going to smell like a culinary dream. Sweet, savory, richly spiced. But hey, a quick warning on the final plating process. When you go to serve this masterpiece, take your time. Gently ladle the stew into a bowl and be extremely careful not to stir the pot too vigorously. You've worked so hard to get those beautifully colored eggs and delicate blocks of tofu perfect, you absolutely do not want to break them apart at the finish line.
And honestly, this brilliantly illustrates how mastering just a few foundational techniques can create an extraordinary dish. Think about it. If you can master balancing palm sugar for a mellow caramelization, properly pan-frying tofu for texture, and dry roasting whole spices to unlock their deepest aromas right here in this Kai Palo, what other culinary masterpieces could you unlock in your own kitchen using these exact same principles? The techniques you learned today carry over to hundreds of other dishes. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Now go get cooking.